Okay, so today we are really diving deep into Ikigai, that Japanese concept, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, and it's way more than just like a self-help thing, right? This how the Okinawans actually live.
And they are like the poster children for living a long time. But hold on, before we even get to Okinawa, what even is Ikigai? This whole find your passion thing that feels kind of shallow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's way deeper. Think of it less like one big passion
Mm.
and more like a Venn diagram, with your skills and what you're into. It's what you love, what you're awesome at, what someone will pay you for, A&D, what the world needs. That sweet spot in the middle, that's Ikigai.
All right, I'm trying to picture this Venn diagram. So how does Okinawa fit in? They've got the most people living past 100 anywhere, and they don't even have a word for retirement. How do they do it?
It's wild, right? They don't retire the way we think of it because their whole life is ikigai. It's not about working till you're 65 and then bam, done. It's about finding joy in what you do every day. So you want to keep going, keep contributing.
So it's like Ikigai's built into their lives from the start. It's not something you go looking for later. It just is.
Exactly. The book makes a big deal about how, like gardening or being with family, it's not just hobbies for them. It's all part of this bigger purpose. And speaking of, there's this whole thing about 10 rules they live by for a longer, happier life.
10 rules. Okay, hit me with the good stuff. Are we talking like huge life changes or things you can actually do?
It's a mix, honestly. The one that gets me is the first one. Surround yourself with good friends. I mean, we all know being social is good for you, right? It's not just some woo-woo thing. It helps you live longer.
Makes sense. No matter where you live, having people you can rely on, it's huge. So it's not just eating your veggies and hitting the gym, it's about who you hang out with too.
Totally. And this other rule really stuck with me. Nurture your friendships every day. It adds years to your life.
Mm.
These Okinawans, they are social. Like being face-to-face is a big deal for them.
It's interesting. With all our tech and stuff, we forget about that, like actually being with someone. We get so caught up online, but they're onto something with that real human connection stuff.
No doubt. Okay, switching gears a bit. Rule number 7 is be active, don't retire. But for them, that doesn't just mean hitting the gym, right? It's this whole mindset of being involved, finding what makes you tick.
So instead of retirement being like, I'm done with work, it's more like, okay, what's my purpose now?
You got it. There's this great example in the book, this retired fisherman. He still goes out every single day. Not because he has to, but because he loves it.
Yeah.
And he shares his catch with everyone. It's about staying active, yeah? But also, like, active in your mind and just enjoying it all.
I love that. He found a way to keep doing what he loves and be part of his community, even after retirement, as
Yeah.
we think of it. That says a lot about their whole approach.
For sure. And even though they're all about staying active, they're also big on living life at a slow pace.
Yeah.
Another one of their rules. We're all going a million miles an hour. So it's a good reminder to slow down, enjoy the little things, just be present.
Oh, tell me about it. We are bombarded with info 24/7. Hitting the pause button is so important, but so hard.
Tell me about it. And speaking of slowing down, the Okinawans they have this really interesting thing with food.
Wait, you mean that 80% rule? I've heard about that. What's the deal with that?
Oh, it's a game changer. So they consciously stop eating when they're about 80% full
Right.
instead of, stuffing themselves.
That takes some serious willpower, doesn't it? Especially with how much we're told to eat here. I wonder if that's part of why they live so long.
Right. It's like their whole thing is balance, not just with food, but with everything.
Yeah.
No extremes, just finding that harmony.
Balance. Yeah, that seems to be a big theme. Speaking of balance, they're really into their food, right? Like, what do they actually eat?
Oh, it's all about the good stuff. Think lots of plants, like colorful veggies, fruits, whole grains, and good fats, of course.
Yeah, that tracks with everything they're saying these days about living longer. So it's like nourishing your body with, real food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And get this, food isn't just fuel for them. Meals are about connecting, really tasting each bite, being thankful for what they're eating.
There's that mindfulness again. It's in everything for them. Not what they eat, but how they eat it. All about that connection.
Right. Okay. And speaking of connection, their whole community thing is huge. It's this thing called Moai, basically, a support group you're part of your whole life.
Wow. So it's like built-in best friends, always there for you. I bet that helps them live longer too, being so connected.
I know, right?
Eh,
It's like having a safety net. The book even says they pool their money sometimes, these Moai. Help each other out when things get tough. It shows you how powerful community can be. Makes you stronger.
Absolutely. Now, there was this whole thing about living an incomplete life. What's that about? It seems kind of counterintuitive.
Right. Like we're all trying to complete things,
Yeah.
but they don't have some finish line. Like once you hit a certain age, you're done.
Yeah.
They're all about constantly learning and growing no matter how old they are.
So instead of being like, retirement, here I come, it's, okay, what's next? They're always looking ahead.
Exactly. And that's Ikigai, right? Because life never stops. They're always up for new challenges, trying new things, adding to what they've already done.
That's pretty inspiring. It's not about the end goal, it's the journey.
Totally. It's about staying curious. Oh, and this ties into this other thing, logotherapy.
Logotherapy, yeah, I've heard of that. Remind me.
So basically, it's therapy that helps you figure out what your life is all about,
Yep.
find meaning. And the book is big on how important that is now more than ever. We're so lost these days.
For sure. It's so easy to feel lost with everything going on.
Right. Like, what's it all for? There's this cool technique where you imagine your 80-year-old self giving you advice. Think about it. What would your older, wiser you tell you to do now?
Wow, that's trippy. It really makes you think about your legacy, what you want to be remembered for.
Totally. And logotherapy says figuring out what you care about, what gets you excited, that's the key to really enjoying life.
So screw what everyone else thinks you should do. It's about what matters to you.
Exactly. Don't get overwhelmed, though. Like you don't need to figure out your entire life's purpose right now. The book says just start doing small things you enjoy every day.
So it's about finding joy in the little things, letting those guide you to the bigger picture.
Yes. It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing, whether it's listening to music, going for a walk, calling up a friend. Those little things add up and they can make a big difference.
It's those little moments that make life worth living, right? Now, we were talking about the Okinawans and how important social connection is, especially those Moais. It sounds like those groups are key to their happiness.
Oh, for sure. They're all about being social, these Okinawans.
Hmm.
Being part of a community is everything to them. And those Moais, they give them a sense of belonging, purpose, knowing someone always has your back.
And remember that quote, nurture your friendships every day. It adds years to your life. So beautiful.
I know, right? They really believe that having close friends is the key to living a long, happy life. You know what? Science backs them up on that. People with close friends tend to be healthier and live longer.
It's amazing how those ancient traditions often have like scientific proof now. It just goes to show having good relationships isn't just good for your soul, it's good for your body too.
Totally. And it's never too late to reach out to someone, make new friends, join a club, volunteer, anything to put yourself out there.
It's about making an effort to connect with people, right? To cherish those relationships and hold them close. Now, something else that stuck out to me was their perspective on getting older. They make it seem like a good thing, which is so refreshing.
Right? We dread getting older here. But for them, it's just a normal, beautiful part of life.
It's like they know something we don't about aging gracefully, both mentally and physically.
They really do. They get that staying active and not just physically is important no matter how old you are. They don't buy into that whole getting old means slowing down thing.
So as they get older, they're still learning, growing, contributing. They never stop.
Exactly. They're all about lifelong learning, trying new things, staying positive. Remember that incomplete life thing? They live it.
It's inspiring. It shows us that age is just a number. You can achieve anything you set your mind to, no matter how many candles are on your cake. Speaking of achieving things, how do we actually apply this whole Ikigai thing? I remember something about imagining your perfect day.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So they want you to really picture your ideal day from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. What are you doing? Who's with you? How do you feel?
Like a vision board for your life, but just for one day.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But how does that help us find our Ikigai?
It helps you figure out what's truly important to you, your values, your passions, all that. When you picture your perfect day, those things will bubble up.
So you're basically figuring out what makes you happy and then trying to make your life more like that.
Exactly. It's not about planning out every minute, but more like getting a feel for what a fulfilling day would look like. And then you can start incorporating those things into your actual life.
I love that. It's not about some far-off dream. It's about making small changes now to create the life you want.
That's it. And the book says, don't stress if you don't figure it all out right away. Finding your Ikigai is a journey. It unfolds over time. It can change as you change.
You're always growing and evolving, and your Ikigai can grow and evolve right along with you. Okay, so earlier we talked about that 80% rule when it comes to eating, right? What other dietary secrets are they hiding over there?
Oh, there are tons. Remember if we talked about how they eat mostly plants? It's not just what they eat, but how they cook it too.
Oh, right, right. What's their secret weapon in the kitchen? Do they have special chef techniques or something?
They've got this whole longevity cooking thing down. They love to steam and stir-fry their food, which helps keep all the good stuff locked in.
It's about keeping the food as close to its natural state as possible. It's the opposite of all those processed foods we eat here.
Exactly. And they use herbs and spices like it's nobody's business. Turmeric, ginger, garlic, you name it. Not only do they taste good, but they're also good for you.
It's like their spice rack is a medicine cabinet. I mean, it makes you wonder if that's part of why they live so long, right?
Right. It's definitely food for thought.
All right.
Okay, let's talk about something a little different. Flow state. You know that feeling when you're so into doing something, you totally lose track of time.
Oh, yeah, being in the zone. So how does that tie into Ikigai?
So the book says that when you're doing something you love, something that uses your skills and talents, you're more likely to get into that flow state. Makes sense, right? Time flies when you're having fun.
It's like you're so focused and present, nothing else seems to matter.
Exactly. And the book says that experiencing flow in your daily life is a big deal. It makes you happier, more productive, more fulfilled.
So how do we find more of those flow moments?
It's about finding things that challenge you, but not too much. Something that requires skill, but still keeps you engaged.
So it's about finding those activities that are the perfect balance of challenging and enjoyable. Something that pushes you but doesn't overwhelm you.
Exactly. It might be playing music, writing, gardening, even having a really good conversation. Just experiment and see what gets you in the zone.
Now, going back to retirement or their lack of a word for it, they don't really separate work and leisure the way we do, huh?
Nope, not at all. For them, work is just an extension of their ikigai. It's not something they dread, it's something they enjoy.
So they're not retiring from something, they're retiring to something. It's about finding new ways to contribute and grow.
Exactly. They might step back from certain things, but they never really stop. They're always finding ways to use their skills and experience.
They show us that you're never too old to pursue your passions. Speaking of finding joy, what about this idea of celebrating small victories? Tell me more about that.
The Okinawans are all about that. They really know how to appreciate the little things. Like, they'll celebrate the small wins throughout the day.
Instead of waiting for some big accomplishment, they find joy in the everyday.
Yes. Whether it's enjoying a good meal, laughing with a friend, or just watching the sunset. They find so much to be grateful for every single day.
It's about focusing on the good, even when things are tough.
Absolutely. And gratitude is a big deal, according to the book. It can really boost your happiness and well-being.
So instead of focusing on what we don't have, we should appreciate what we do have. Now, we talked about how important simplicity is to them, but what does that actually look like?
They're all about keeping things simple in every part of their lives. They'd rather have experiences than material possessions, you know. The simple things make them happy.
It's about decluttering, right? Getting rid of the stuff, both physical and mental, to make room for what's truly important. It's a good reminder that true happiness doesn't come from stuff. It comes from experiences, relationships, and living in line with your values.
100%. The book talks about how simplifying your life can free up time and energy so you can focus on the things that really matter.
So instead of always chasing after something more, find contentment and joy in what you already have,
Yeah.
right here, right now. Speaking of what's important, we've talked about how crucial purpose is to Ikigai. How do they actually find that purpose in their everyday lives?
That's the thing. It doesn't have to be this big grand purpose. For them, it's about finding meaning in everything they do, even the small things.
So it's about approaching everything with intention, whether it's work, relationships, or even just hobbies.
Right. It's about asking yourself, why am I doing this? And finding a deeper meaning. There's this example in the book of a woman who owns a tea shop. She sees it as more than just a job. It's her way of connecting with people, sharing her love of tea, and making their day a little brighter.
It's about finding the joy and meaning in your work, no matter what you do.
Yes. And the book says that having this kind of mindset can make you happier at work. You feel more accomplished, and it can even improve your relationships with your coworkers.
It's like you're turning your everyday tasks into something more meaningful. Okay, now what about resilience? The Okinawans have been through a lot, but they always seem to bounce back. What's their secret?
It's true, they've seen it all. I think their resilience comes from their strong sense of community, their positive outlook on life, and their deep connection to their Ikigai.
So their Ikigai gives them strength to deal with challenges. It's like their anchor in the storm.
Totally. When you know who you are and what you're meant to do, it's much easier to overcome obstacles. You know what truly matters.
So far, we've mostly talked about the personal benefits of this whole Ikigai thing. But the book says it's bigger than that. Like, it can actually make a difference in the world. How so?
It's true. When you're living in line with your Ikigai, you radiate something different, this sense of purpose and joy that's contagious.
So it's not just about you being happy, it's about sharing that happiness with others. You inspire them to find their own purpose.
Exactly. When you're living your best life, you want others to do the same. You become this positive force.
It's like your Ikigai becomes a gift you give to the world. Okay, let's circle back to the whole staying active thing. They don't really do gyms, do they?
Nope. Being active is just part of their lifestyle. It's not a chore. It's just something they do naturally.
So instead of scheduled workouts, they find ways to move their bodies throughout the day.
Yes. Gardening, walking, riding bikes, even just taking the stairs, it all counts.
It's about being mindful about moving your body. And the book says it's never too late to start, right?
Never. Even small changes can make a big difference. Just find something you like and do it.
No more excuses, right? Just get moving. Okay, changing gears here a bit. What's the deal with mindfulness? How does that fit into the Okinawan way of life?
Oh, mindfulness is huge for them. It's in everything they do, eating, walking, talking to people. They're all about being present in the moment, really experiencing everything.
So instead of going through the motions, they slow down and appreciate what's happening right now.
Exactly. And the book suggests taking a few minutes each day to practice mindfulness. Less stress, better focus, and you feel better overall.
It's about finding those moments of peace and quiet, just breathing and taking it all in.
Exactly. And the way they talk to each other is so cool. They're really present in conversations, listening intently, and really engaging with the other person.
It's about making those connections deeper and more meaningful. Now let's talk about the community aspect of Ikigai. We know the Okinawans are super social, but how does that actually play into finding your purpose?
That's a great question. For them, community isn't just about having people around. It's about being part of something bigger than yourself. It's about contributing to your family, your community, your work.
So it's realizing that you're part of something bigger and that your actions can make a difference.
Exactly. And you don't have to limit yourself to just your physical community.
Yeah.
You can find it through shared interests, hobbies, online communities, all sorts of things.
So even if you don't live in a close-knit community, you can still find that sense of belonging and purpose by connecting with like-minded people.
Okay, what about creativity? How do the Okinawans view creativity and how does it relate to Ikigai?
They're all about expressing yourself, whether it's through art, music, crafts, whatever. They believe it's good for the soul.
So everyone's an artist in their own way. It's not about being the best. It's about expressing yourself authentically.
Exactly. And it's not just traditional art forms either. They find creative outlets in everyday activities. Gardening, cooking, telling stories. It all counts. It's about finding those moments of inspiration in the everyday and letting their creativity flow. And the book says that even doing a little bit of creative stuff can be good for you.
Totally. It can lower stress, make you happier, and even boost your brain power. It's like a workout for your brain.
Okay, so we got to talk about gratitude. The Okinawans seem to have that down to an art form.
It's true. They're big on gratitude. They take the time to appreciate the little things, focus on the good stuff, and be thankful for everything and everyone in their lives.
It's that whole attitude of gratitude thing, isn't it?
Yes. It's all about shifting your perspective. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, you look at what's right.
And that can make a huge difference in your happiness.
Absolutely. Focusing on the good things can lead to greater resilience, better relationships, and more inner peace.
So it's about choosing to be happy even when things are tough.
Exactly. Look for those silver linings. Remember that flow state we talked about? Well, the book says that finding your Ikigai can help you tap into that state more easily. Exactly. When you're doing something you're passionate about, something that aligns with your Ikigai, you're more likely to get in the zone and lose track of time.
It's that feeling of being totally immersed in what you're doing, and it feels effortless and amazing. And it's not just about feeling good, it can actually make you more productive and happy in the long run.
Exactly. The key is to find activities that challenge you just enough. Things that are the perfect balance of your skills and what you enjoy doing.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're engaged but not overwhelmed. Okay, shifting gears a bit here, let's talk about self-care. It's something we hear a lot about these days, but how do the Okinawans view it?
Self-care is a way of life for them. They understand that taking care of themselves, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is crucial for living a good life.
It's about making time for yourself even when you're busy.
Yes, it's that whole you can't pour from an empty cup thing. When you take care of yourself, you have more to give to others.
It's about making sure you're running on a full tank.
So true. Okay, what about acceptance? Where does that fit in with finding your Ikigai?
Acceptance is huge. It's about embracing yourself, who you are, what you love, what you're good at.
So no more being hard on yourself. It's time to embrace your authentic self.
Exactly. Your Ikigai is unique to you. There's no right or wrong answer.
And it's totally fine if your passions change over time.
Of course. As you grow and evolve, so will your Ikigai.
Now, what about perseverance? That's
Yeah.
got to be important in this whole journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. Finding your Ikigai might take a while. It's about sticking with it, even when it's tough.
So trust the process even when it's bumpy.
Exactly. The book reminds us that it's a journey, and it's worth it.
It's about embracing all of it, the highs and lows, knowing that every step takes you closer to your purpose.
It's a journey, that's for sure. And like any good journey, you need patience, resilience, and an open mind. Speaking of journeys, the book talks about lifelong learning being a big part of Ikigai. The Okinawans never stop learning, do they?
Never. They think learning is essential. It
Yeah.
keeps your mind sharp, and it opens you up to new ideas. Plus, it gives you purpose.
So it's not just about knowing a bunch of stuff, it's about staying curious and trying new things, being open to new experiences. It's like they approach life as one big learning adventure.
Exactly. And the best part is you can learn in so many ways. Reading, traveling, taking classes, even just having deep conversations. Find what you're curious about and go for it.
It's about making your life one big, exciting classroom. Now, before we wrap this whole Ikigai thing up, I want to make sure our listeners know this. You can find your Ikigai without turning your whole life upside down.
Right. Not everyone can just pick up and move to Okinawa or quit their job tomorrow. The book makes it clear, finding your Ikigai doesn't mean starting your life over.
It's about finding those little sparks of joy and meaning in your life right now. They're probably closer than you think.
Exactly. Maybe it's bringing more mindfulness to your work, or finding ways to help others, or even just making more time for hobbies you love.
It's about those little tweaks you can make to bring your daily life closer to your passions.
Yes. Even small changes can make a huge difference if you're intentional about it.
So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start finding those little bits of purpose and happiness today.
Exactly. Don't wait for it, create it. Your Ikigai isn't out there somewhere. It's within you.
It's about trusting your gut, listening to your heart, and taking it one step at a time.
Beautifully put.
This has been awesome. Ikigai is more than just a fancy word. It's a whole new way of looking at life, work, and how we connect with the world.
Totally. It reminds us to slow down, be present, and appreciate every moment.
So true. And on that note, here's something to think about. Picture yourself years from now looking back on your life. What would it feel like to know you lived a life true to yourself? A life filled with Ikigai. Keep searching for it, friends. Until next time.